The Negro Justice League.
Hi, welcome to the Negro Justice League, a Black Nerd Podcast, episode 85. I'm your host, Cherry.
It's your boy, Jay.
And for round 2, we have a returning guest, Mr. MP3 Nut. Say what's up.
Hey, everybody.
Ew. All right, so after the news, we're going to hop into Eli from Netflix and Dolemite, which is also from Netflix. Dolemite should be maybe around the 25. Eli, I know for a fact we will be discussing spoilers because the whole point of that movie is kind of the spoiler. So if you haven't seen Eli, come back at the 25. But go run off to Netflix and watch it real quick and come back. It is actually worth watching. All right, into the news. First of all, everybody's excited about Disney Plus because Disney basically pulled all of their material from Netflix and we're like, what are we going to do? How are we going to get Disney Plus? But nobody wants to pay extra money for yet another streaming service. So small bit of good news is Verizon will be offering Disney Plus for people with unlimited data packages. So that's most of us with smartphones. If you have an unlimited package, then you should be getting Disney Plus through Verizon. I haven't personally tried it yet. But I will probably keep y'all updated because I want some Disney Plus, but I'm not willing to pay for it. Next up, Thunderforce is a new superhero movie announced. What's special about this is the cast. The heroes will be played by Octavia Spencer and Melissa McCarthy. If you know who they are, you realize they do not fit the typical role of superheroes. One, they're female, but two, they're a little heftier around the middle. So this is going to be really interesting to see these two playing superheroes because it's just not what we typically see, but they are really awesome actors. I have seen a picture of them in their costumes and they look really cool. So I'm excited to see that. There's also a rumor, and this is not confirmed. So if it doesn't happen to be true, I didn't tell you this, but we heard that Dragon Ball Z will be coming to Netflix. We will keep our eye on that, let you guys know. I personally won't be watching it, but I know y'all will. So we'll keep you guys posted. And in news that is dear to me, but our other hosts don't even want to hear about it, Shea Moisture just recently released a new internet advertisement. I saw it on Twitter. It's been trending amongst Black female Twitter lately. And it's for their, I'm gonna be honest, I think it's for their line of beard care products because they don't actually show any products. What they do show is a plethora of Black men with beards. The whole commercial is just Black men, different sizes, shapes, colors of Black men with beards looking and smiling into the camera. And it is one of the most beautiful commercials I've ever seen because we really just, as far as representation is concerned, we know that there are beautiful bearded Black men out there. What is it? BBM? They're out there. And so to see them represented in a commercial is awesome. And it's also awesome for those of us who love Shea Moisture and love beautiful bearded Black men. So if y'all are on Twitter, look up the new Shea Moisture commercial. It is worth 30 seconds of your time. Last but not least from me, as far as streaming services are concerned, we did announce that Apple is releasing its own streaming service, Apple TV, which has some shows. It has some actually pretty good, they hired some high level actors and directors and talent. Like they're really putting money into this. And speaking of money, it will be free if you have a student account with Apple. One thing about Apple is, if you recall, Amazon really just requires you to have like a .edu address, which most people have if they went to college at some point. But with Apple, they actually do verify with the university that you are enrolled. So if you are a student or a teacher with a .edu account, I don't know if it works for teachers, but if you're a student, you will be getting free Apple TV. So I'll keep you guys posted on that as well. And now I'm going to pass it to Jay.
So, guys, this one's going to be really quick, but Sony Pictures Animation has officially announced a dated sequel to the Academy Award-winning Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse for April 8th, 2022. It announced recently. So, if you don't know, Into the Spider-Verse is probably considered one of the best Spider-Man movies, but for me, especially, arguably one of the best comic book movies, period. So I'm really excited. I think everybody knew with how well it was going to do that there was going to be a sequel, but to know that it isn't too far away, it's really nice to know that it's going to be out on the April 8th, 2022. Continue watching our social media because if anything comes on a trailer or anything like that, we'll let you guys know. Speaking on things that are also going to be coming out soon that we've been highly invested in on the NJL, The Witcher just released its final trailer. The Witcher series, which is going to be on Netflix, released its final trailer saying that December 20th of this year, we're going to get the new series. Uh, if you don't know about The Witcher, it involves Geralt of Rivia being played by Henry Cavill. It's a very popular international book series that was made to a very, very popular video game series that is probably one of the top video game series in the last few years. And it's really exciting for us to watch because Netflix is trying to make this their Game of Thrones. The creator of this says he got at least 7 or 8 seasons planned. Henry Cavill is an extremely large fan of playing Geralt and the character. So if this is really good, this could be our new Game of Thrones fix. Let's just hope their season 8 isn't as bad as Game of Thrones season 8.
Amen. I have a question. Do
hmm
you know, and if you don't, it's fine. Do you know if this is going to be a season at a time release, or is this going to be an episode at a time? Because I know Netflix has transitioned over into doing 1 week at a time shows.
From what I understand, and they may change this, but this current one is going to be a full-on drop. So we're going to get the
Okay,
full season.
cool.
And unfortunately, with sadder news, we want to give a rest in peace to the late, amazingly great John Witherspoon, who everyone knows as Pops. He passed away at the age of 77 years old in his home. No specific details said what caused his death, so we're just going to go with natural causes. If you don't know who Pops is or who John Witherspoon is, he's been in pretty much all the important things for black people in entertainment. Boondocks, I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, House Party, Soul Plane, Friday. If it was something loved by black folks, he probably had a hand in it or knew someone who had a hand in it. And because of how much he's touched folks in the industry and black people, LA will be having a celebration service for him, I believe, on Tuesday, November 5th, where they will be able to just celebrate his life. So that's going to be really, really awesome. So again, rest in peace to Pops. Bang bang one more time.
Yeah, that was difficult. I know for me that some celebrity, or most celebrity deaths you see, you're like, oh man, that's unfortunate, and you move on. But there are some that really stick with you over a period of time. And I know that this one in particular has been really difficult because a lot of us have really just grown up with his comedy. So,
Yeah, definitely.
all right, y'all. So time to hop into our discussion. Eli is a scary horror, whatever, film on Netflix. I will preface this by repeating, it's pretty good. So if you like scary movies and you're thinking about seeing it and you want to see it and you don't want to be spoiled, go ahead and watch it before you listen to this because we're gonna spoil it. And the spoilers is dope to me. So all right, now we're spoiling time. You guys saw this movie. I know that I watched this movie because Jay asked me to watch it, but Peanut had already seen it. So either of you, like, why did you up and watch this movie? Like, what made you want to watch it in the first place?
Pina, I'll let you go first.
So this movie is my genre. All I really need is a family, a weird kid, and a demon or two, and I'm watching it more than likely.
So that's your jam?
So okay, never mind. Go ahead.
So me just seeing the trailer initially, I said, okay, this is my usual thing, so I'll definitely watch it.
Okay, Jay.
And for me, outside of this, also, me and you love horror movies, so we always take a chance to watch any that come out. I saw it come out. Anytime I see a random little white kid with just one name, Eli, Hannah, they're usually scary. But also, they did have it tagged that it was done by the producers of the Netflix show that we really enjoyed, Haunted Hill House. I think that's the name of it.
Haunting of Hill
Wow,
House.
that was amazing. I didn't even
Yeah.
realize it was the same crew.
Yeah, so it's by the same crew, so that definitely gave it a reason for me to see it outside of the fact that I just love, the horror genre. So that's what got me to jump into it and also to recommend it for our viewing to Cherry.
I think my issue with it, not my issue with it, but why I didn't want to watch it is as far as me and scary stuff, I like the realistic scary stuff. Like I would rather have a killer trying to get into your house than a ghost. You know what I mean? So I see like that. The ghosts and things, that doesn't scare me because I don't think that's going to happen to me. But like Jason or somebody coming to my house, maybe, you know? So that I think that's why I wasn't as interested. But I'm glad you guys had me watch this. So let's get into the plot twist. Well, actually, it's like two different genres. I called it a genre bending plot twist. It starts out, and what we see in the trailer is the haunted house theme, right? There's a family in a house. The house is big and beautiful and old and scary, and there's some paranormal activity going on. For me, this half of the movie was really done well. I wasn't particularly scared by the jump scares and the ghosts and stuff because it's just not my jam, but it was good. How did you guys feel about the first half of the movie?
For me, I was definitely enjoying this. I like the fact that it just jumped right into the fact that it was a haunted house of sorts. There wasn't no question necessarily outside of the boy Eli just maybe being crazy. It reminded me a lot of the haunted house movie 13 Ghosts, way, way back. A little bit of that Amityville horror that Ryan Reynolds did, that Cherry thought was Ryan Gosling. So it jumped
Forgot about
into it
that.
really nicely. I like the idea of why it was scary for him, which the story starts with the fact that the boy has some type of, I don't know, is it an autoimmune disease or
Yeah,
something?
yeah. No, I don't know. It's just something like that.
He's a bubble boy,
Yeah.
basically. So can't be outside. He can't do anything. So the only place he's able to be somewhat normal is inside this haunted house. And I think that's a really smart way of why somebody would have to stay inside a place like that.
It actually, with the disease incorporated into it, it gave me two sentence horror story vibes. Remember, there's one of the episodes of Two Sentence Horror Stories where a guy has some type of disease where he has to go to some type of mansion and they have to
Hmm.
do some type of
Thing.
mysterious
Yeah, I thought
thing.
about that episode.
Even though I said the ghosts don't scare me, the medical procedures do scare me. Being strapped to a table and people doing stuff that hurts and you don't have consent, that terrifies me. That being said, having seen that, something told me there was some demons involved. Not just ghosts. I was like, Satan is here somewhere. But because
Sound like somebody's godmother.
Yeah.
Satan is here
My knee
somewhere
somewhere.
twitched. That's the
in
devil.
this house, Satan is in this house. I wasn't certain. I thought, and I thought it would be like the Two Sentence Horror Stories where I thought the quote unquote ladies working the facility were doing some type of devil worship. But let's get to the genre blending plot twist. Boom, boom, boom. Turns out
Da, 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 da.
the patient is the demon seed. And y'all know me, I love a good demon seed. Like any child that's connected to Satan, I think that is just great entertainment for me. Truly entertained by that. Yeah. We'll say what we gotta say about that offline. Uh, how did you guys feel when it to me it was really like we switched to a whole nother movie. Like we switched from, I don't know, Amityville, not even Amityville, like a what's that movie everybody's scared of that I don't like with the dude and the ghost? There's like
Yeah,
three of
that's
them.
really,
It's
that's
three. It's
really,
three of them.
The
that's really
Conjuring
good.
The
or
Conjuring.
Insidious.
Insidious. See, he knew what I was talking about. It's like we went from Insidious to like The Omen in the middle
Or
of the movie.
Brightburn.
I didn't get to see Brightburn, but
We literally reviewed it. It's okay.
we did.
Yeah,
Where was I at?
there.
Did I see that movie? No,
Yes.
no, I didn't.
Moving on.
Anyway, I'm
So,
totally at a loss.
yes.
So yeah, it's like we went from Insidious to The Omen or Brightburn or whatever. And I that was when I really kicked into high gear. After some point, I started to realize, okay, the nurses are not nurses; they're nuns. I pieced it together a little quicker than the person I was watching with, just because this is my thing, and I really, like I said, my spidey sense was like demon. But how did you guys feel when it changed from the type of movie you thought you were watching into a demon seed movie?
One thing I want to mention is the girl that kept showing up.
Oh yeah,
Hmm.
So they were following kind of a similar trail every night, where
Haley.
Eli hears a
yeah.
boom in
Stranger
the
Things
night.
chick.
He
Yeah,
goes
Max.
and investigates. Spooky Wookies come after him, and then his parents or a nurse finds him.
Mm-hmm.
But he would always end up talking to this girl who was like outside the glass,
Right.
and I just thought she was fake.
Oh yeah, I thought she was dead.
Yeah, I thought she was like one of the other girls that was there and died, or a ghost, or the devil, or something.
Yeah.
So finding out she was actually real was a big shocker.
She just doesn't have any
Um,
guardians.
and then I figured they were trying to put the devil in him, but turns out it was the other way around. They were trying to get the devil out of him. So that
Yeah.
was very surprising.
Yeah.
See, here's the funny thing. Maybe I just wasn't watching it the way y'all were, but I never had the idea of it being demon related. I really thought it was just a really serious haunted house thing, but it was based on this woman basically doing experiments trying to save people, but actually, killing them. And that's where all these kids are coming from. And she was going to be one of the ghosts who maybe got away, kind of, but died on the premises or something like that. The twist of him being the devil or basically the devil's son was great. I kind of wish it would have happened a bit sooner because it was kind of in the last 10 minutes, I felt, of the movie, which definitely made everything that much greater. It was kind of like what, but it would have been nice if it was kind of like a Dusk Till Dawn type twist where it came not halfway in, but it would have been nice to play with that a little bit more, especially because Eli went from being this really nice, innocent type kid to just full on, I will watch the world burn in blood as soon as the twist was shown.
He accepted that way quicker than I thought he would.
Yeah,
I mean, he
yeah.
can
He
feel it.
seemed okay, or not normal, but he seemed like not necessarily a bad kid. But then he
Right.
went, like you said, full on Satan. Oh, okay, this the jam. Boom.
Yeah.
That that's
Which I
surprising.
guess if
Because he
you've
was
been
threatened,
feeling
though. Like, he felt threatened. And that usually awakens people's powers. And I'm sure he felt his daddy's presence. And then that's when he was like, all right, let me go off. Because he was in the middle of an exorcism. And an exorcism will turn you out.
how,
As
explain
you've
more how
seen,
you know this.
Told
How
y'all
you get turned out?
This is my
on an exorcism?
genre. But you get what I'm saying.
But I did like it. I liked the actual idea of like the mom played by Kelly Riley and like what her involvement was because they kind of gave you hints that she cheated somehow or she did something, but to know that
Hmm.
she basically was like, "Yo, my son is I want a son or something," and I don't know how to make that happen. Like I don't know. God didn't give it to me, so I'll take it from the devil. It was very interesting.
I liked it.
Because it made the dad seem much more better in my eyes, so to speak.
Because the dad was the one that was like, you know what? Forget what he's saying. Forget what everybody else is saying. Get his boy his
hmm
treatment. And at first you're like, what's wrong with you? Why would you? It can kill him. Why would you? Dad's like, it don't matter. If he dies, he dies.
because that wasn't his boy, sort of.
And I
So
mean, it's Satan's child. If he dies, he dies. Like, I'm sorry to say it, but it's like, so be it. Either you're cured or you're dead. That's the really only options we have here.
And it was really awesome to find out that like the reason that like a lot of the treatments weren't working because there was exorcism. So it was holy water
Yeah.
going into him, and
And that
that's
was
why
one of
he's
the things
getting.
that gave it away for me was like he kept tearing out his IVs. And so before the big review, I was like, it's holy water in them IVs. This is an exorcism. I don't know what I don't remember
wow.
why I put it together. But I put it together pretty early and the person I was watching with was like, no, like thought I was tripping. Like, why would you even where you get that from? I was like, those are nuns. They trying, cause when you saw his skin burning and like that type of stuff, I was like, that's demon stuff. And so I think those
That's
clues.
demon stuff.
I mean, you throw water on somebody and they start to fry. That's what
He said,
that
like,
ought to be
remember
a
that
clue.
time Johnny's skin was burning like that when
Yeah,
he was
that's
getting
demon
exercised?
stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Anybody that burns from water or the sun. No, I'm kidding. Sorry. Sorry, Susan, our one listener.
Tricky.
Our one listener, Susan. I'm just kidding, girl. But anyway, seriously though, when I see people who can't touch water, it's usually a sign that it's holy water and there's some type of exorcism going on. That being said, if they pulled the twist out and it was either a haunted house movie or a demon seed movie, would it still be good?
I would say it's still good because it's good cinematography. There's a good story, but that twist really does elevate it to a level because I don't think we've seen too many twists like that other than Cabin in the Woods had a
Yeah,
twist
we went
kind
all
of
over the
like
place.
that. Yeah, yeah.
That's one of my
Um,
favorite movies too. One of my favorite
my
scary movies
yeah,
because
The rest of
exactly.
the movie was pretty run of the mill, not in a bad way, but it was like
Hmm.
my standard affair with these movies.
Hmm.
So the twist is what bumped it up a bit.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
even without the twist, it's still above average. I think the haunted house movie was still well done, It was
Mm-hmm.
still, even though it doesn't scare me, I was still entertained. I was still like on the edge of my seat. What is going on? Like, ooh, there's a monster in the back. They do that thing that Hill House does, where people will be having a conversation and you see a ghost walk behind them, and
Mm-hmm.
they don't see
Love
it.
that.
And that is, it's good entertainment. The second part of the movie, the Omen part, I thought was real good because the boy turned up. Like, one of my favorite movies.
Turn
I
up.
keep bringing up the Omen. One of my issues with that movie is it
I would have
fizzles.
thought. Uh,
Huh.
mm-hmm.
It fizzles in that he kind of like encourages people to kill themselves and make freak accidents happen, but he doesn't do a whole lot of "I am Satan," set the room on fire, hang people upside down, that type of. He doesn't do the real
Yeah, he
deal
don't really come out.
demon. Yeah, but
Mm-hmm.
this movie, he showed out. He had nuns hanging upside down in a crucifixion pose, and he set everybody on fire alive.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this is what I want to see from the Spawn of Satan. So, that being said, I think the twist elevates it like you said, but I think it's still a good movie. So, unless y'all have something else I feel like we really went up and through this movie as well as we could.
I want to give shout out to the boy because after seeing raising Dion and being trash as an actor, this uh, Eli was really really good. He really had me like wanting to be on his side and figure out how you gonna get through this, man. Because ain't nobody believing you and you going through some things.
Yeah.
I
Then he
actually,
kind of turned into Lucifer, and I was like, well, you kind of need to go, but
Now that you mention it, that's actually what helped sell the twist was that the kid actor was so good. We were on
he
his
was
side
sympathetic. Yeah,
the whole
hmm
time. So when it flipped, you were like, "Oh shit! Wait a minute!" It felt like the Mr. Krabs meme. Like,
yeah,
what's going on?
yeah. I agree
all
with
right, I'm
y'all.
gonna head out.
I actually said that during the first 15, 20 minutes of the movie. I was like, oh, this kid can act. Remember Raising Dion? Um, and I don't want to keep dragging that Raising Dion boy
You
because he's
should.
adorable, but it was not cast well. He needs some more time in his acting school.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So the acting was good. The kids, everybody, the kids, the parents, like everybody was playing their part to where you really believed what was happening was what was happening. If that makes sense.
I actually want to watch this again just to see if you can see from the nuns and things the underlying fact of what he is,
Mm-hmm.
because it's one of those movies I feel like The Haunted Hill, there a second viewing you'll kind of start seeing some of the things that should have been like, oh, they've been hinting at this the whole time.
Yeah, me too. And I wish I would have taken better notes as to when and where and why I understood what was going on. Because I think it was a little premature, but I picked up on the this is what I like hint. So I do. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, I do maybe want to go back and say, okay, what told me this is a nunnery, and what's going on.
Your Peter Tingle was activated. I feel you.
Yeah, yeah. Where did that come? Who started the Peter Tingle? It came from the
uh,
movie.
yeah,
Yeah, but I feel
Spider-Man.
like one of us was. I feel like it came up on a stream or something. Okay. Let's rate it up. A through F. Peanut. What are you thinking?
I'll give it a B.
Oh, B.
I think it was solid. The twist elevated it a bit. Good for me.
I'm gonna give it a B plus. I think it's a B without the twist. I think it's two B movies put together with a plus in the middle. So I'm gonna give it a B plus just for the combination, the cross cutting combination there. Jay.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a B plus as well. It was a solid one, and that the twist definitely elevated it, but it's not like Jeepers Creepers amazing or Kevin Woods for that A. So solid B plus though.
Jeepers Creepers is outstanding. All of them, even the
Yep.
third. Okay, speaking of movies that are so bad that they're great, uh, Jeepers Creepers is one of those. Dolemite is a movie. Dolemite is My Name is the movie that Eddie Murphy starred in, and I think he produced. This was his thing. Like he created this movie. I thought when I saw it and I saw his costume and whatnot, I thought this was going to be a Dolemite remake, and so I wasn't particularly interested in seeing it. But it's not. It is a Rudy Ray Moore not documentary, biopic about his life and how he ended up creating the Dolomite character and what he did with it. And so I'm glad that I saw it. But this is a very 1970s African American culture thing. And so not all black people, have that history of, or were raised by parents that were American in America in 1970 watching these movies. So there are a lot of people that watched this and had no idea what
That this was a real thing.
that Dolemite happened. They hadn't seen the movie. They hadn't heard about it. Maybe not even known about blaxploitation. I personally had seen the movie. My mom was really big when she was coming up in America in that time. Was really big on the blaxploitation pimp films. You guys know how I feel about pimping. Obviously, this is pimp history. You have to know this. Did y'all? I say that to say, were you guys familiar with Dolemite before this happened?
I was familiar, really in broad terms, like not too much, like definitely not familiar with Rudy Ray Moore at all. But I was familiar with blaxploitation films in general, and I was familiar with some of the Dolemite character.
Jay?
Absolutely. I'm big on black exploitation films. Dolemite, uh, Cleopatra Jones. I mean, Black Dynamite is one of my favorite movies, and it is because it is absolutely a homage as well as satire on that genre.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're somebody who's into hip hop culture, not necessarily pimping like Cherry seems to be weirdly, Dolomite is kind of known, just like Shea. So I was very excited when I found out about this. I was like sharing it with everybody, and this was before I knew it was a biopic. I thought it was just gonna be Eddie Murphy doing Dolomite.
You can't separate Dolemite and Dolemite's influence on hip hop from pimping. Like, yes, it's my thing, but it's also extraordinarily relevant. Not only because Dolemite is a pimp, but then you have rappers that came up in that same era, in that 70s era, like Snoop. And the reason Snoop's entire persona is around pimping is because he comes from that era and he's emulating what he saw then. So that
biggest effects.
All of that, even all the way down to like 50 Cent, where you get the PIMP, all that stuff is trickling down. And Dolemite is the one that started it. Well, not the pimp part, but the rapping part.
They actually said his way of speaking is kind of what got certain rappers to speak like that, which was something, as big of a hip hop fan as I am, I never had that connection.
I did, as when I was younger and I was watching, when I was watching it, and then when you get older and you watch things like The Get Down, when you see that period of time where there's a transition from people speaking jive, as they called it, speaking jive. I don't know the word for the 70s word, but basically like joning on each other. I don't know what they called it back then. But when you're boasting on what you have, what you've done, who you slept with, and you're doing it in a rhyme, that is rap music. So you do that and play a beat in the background, we have rap. So I didn't necessarily tie it to Dolemite specifically, but I did know it came from that initial culture of that's how they talk to each other. That's what black people were doing in the 70s until somebody put it on a track. So I didn't know specifically that it was him, but I did know that that was happening. And if you watch The Get Down, you can kind of see that intersection where it begins to happen. Okay. That being said, the original Dolemite film, it is so incredibly bad. I haven't watched it. I haven't watched it recently.
Don't start it off.
No,
that
it
way.
is awful. It's so bad that it's outstanding. Like, it's so bad that 40 years later, we're watching a movie about the movie, right? And
so bad.
Yeah, so bad. I think that there's a genius hidden in there, right? The fact that you can have no money, some people you know, some people you don't know, you pulled in, some students, and a crack house, essentially, and you can pull that into a $14 million film with no education on filmmaking, no just talent. Just I'm gonna make it. I want to do this, so I'm gonna do it. I think there's absolutely genius in that, and I think Eddie Murphy did an excellent job of showing us that.
Eddie Murphy is so amazing at just what he does, and I think this project really resonated with him deeply on the inside. That's why he put so much passion into it, and it really shone through the film.
What this film did, outside of the fact of how amazingly important apparently Dolemite and Rudy May Moore is to black culture, especially nowadays, it really did make me remember how good Eddie Murphy is at his craft when he cares to be good at his craft. I think for like the last 15 plus years, he's really kind of tried to go back away from like the money Disney stuff he was doing that was getting slammed. This gives me faith in Coming to America 2 being good. Mm-hmm. Because before I was like, this feels like a cash grab. I don't know if I'm down for it. But watching how good he played it, how he hit all the points perfectly, the humor, the sadness, the the wanting to be better than you are and not taking no for an answer. It's just a really amazing product. I kind of wish it came out in theaters so that it could have been supported in a way I think it would have been supported.
Speaking of it not coming out in theaters, I don't think that it would have ever come out in theaters. And I commend Netflix for allowing Eddie Murphy to do this because there is a very small audience of people that understand what Dolemite is and want to see a movie about it. Now, if you people that outside of that see the movie, they'll enjoy it and they can appreciate it. But I think the target audience is tiny, and somebody at Netflix presumably was like, "Hey, it's Eddie Murphy. Let's just let him do his thing." And so, I'm really, I really commend Netflix for even allowing this to happen.
Well, from my understanding, this was part of Eddie Murphy's agreement with the comedy special he'll be having drop at some point.
Right.
That like, I'll do the comedy special, but I also need to be able to do this and some other things.
That's what I
So
was gonna say.
this is Eddie showing that he still got some star power strength and just how good of a comedian he is.
Yeah, and this is his
Because even
pet
though,
project. Like nobody
yeah,
else. When I'm saying that to say nobody else really cared about a Rudy Ray Moore documentary, but Eddie Murphy, and he was able to pull that in and them say, hey, it's Eddie Murphy. Let's let him do it. And again, like I said, I'm happy that they did that because not everybody
and
would.
and everyone in the movie I felt did their job really, really well. From Wesley Snipes, Keegan Michael Kelly, Craig Robinson, Mike Epps, uh, everyone their moment in it. Titus Burgess, Divine Joy, who played Lady Reed, especially, it
Hmm.
was amazing at those roles, and I really felt like they really gave um, they made those people uh, better than maybe even their real life counterparts, if that makes
Or
sense.
bigger, maybe not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bigger. There you go.
Speaking of Wesley Snipes, it's been a long time for me personally, long decades since I've seen Wesley Snipes not be serious, tough, and angry. And we kind of forget that Wesley Snipes can act outside of that box, which he used to in the 90s. But there's
Hmm.
a huge gap of us seeing him with, personality. And I think he killed it. And, doing some backstory, doing some reading, he was playing Derville Martin, who was the director. The cast of this movie, no, not the cast, the cast of the original Dolomite movie, who Eddie Murphy interviewed for this, told those stories of what was happening on set. And what they were saying is essentially what Wesley Snipes did is what was actually happening. Like as big as he was, as dramatic as he was, as rude as he was, Derville Martin was worse. And there are stories that did not make the cut of his antics, of his drinking, of his comments, of his dress, of his dramatic flair. So I really appreciate Wesley Snipes bringing that to the table. And honestly, I thought it was just like something to make the movie funny. But no, apparently that's really how it went down.
Yeah, he was a standout for me.
Mm-hmm.
When he first showed up, I was getting these Captain Black Sparrow vibes from him, and I
Captain
was
Black Sparrow.
really enjoying it.
I think
Even
that's
the
good.
hair.
Captain Black Sparrow.
I think that's the name of the episode, Captain
Yeah,
Black.
Captain Black Sparrow. You gotta listen to the episode to figure out who that is.
Yeah, I agree. He wasn't in the movie that long. I think altogether maybe what 15, 20 minutes incomplete,
Yeah.
but it was such a great performance. One of my favorite movies of his is Demolition Man and Tu Wong Fu,
Hmm.
and both of them have him playing a character who's extra, and
Yeah.
his ability at comedic timing is really impressive. Of course, we all love him as Blade and things of that nature, but I hope this allows him to want to be more in that scene because low key, if you go to his Twitter account, he's kind of saucy
He
on
is.
Twitter.
He's very
He's
saucy
he's
on
very
Twitter.
much a saucy, petty dude who is not what most people probably think of him as. And I
Right.
want to see that more in movies now that he's out of jail and can act again.
All
I
right.
knew about
See, I
his
was about to
level of
say
petty.
if you come for him, he will come for you. So if Wesley Snipes ever listens to this podcast, I said he did an amazing job, and Jay said everything else.
I knew about how petty he was from one of the Blade movies where they were doing like reshoots or something, and he refused to open his eyes in a
Yeah.
scene, and
Yeah.
they had to like CGI open eyes on him.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, okay, this
So
guy
I
is
think he was
something else.
probably cast well as Derville Martin. What were you guys' favorite scenes?
My favorite scene is probably gonna be it includes Wesley Snipes when he's talking about, does this man think that we believe he knows kung fu? Look at this. And in the background you just see Eddie Murphy as Rudy just like doing these horrible karate chops and this super slow
But
spin
that's
kick.
how it is in the movie. Like, it is that bad in the movie. It's how it looks. Like, they do it scene for scene how the movie looks.
hmm and Derville just drinking and just being like, I can't do this. And he was like, do we need to do more? And he's like, I honestly think that is all we need.
And
That
the people that were there said that was really what happened. Like, that was the really. And I think the day that they filmed that, they had people from the original Dolemite film on set, and that was like that's how it went down.
that's
Wow.
great. That's absolutely great.
Peanut.
My favorite part was probably the intro of Lady Reed
In
when
Tallahassee?
when you see her like arguing with the husband and punch him out, and I was
She
like,
was at Top Flight.
yeah,
Listen,
that whole scene
I was
every
watching this
time.
like, I know they had Top Flight right nowhere. That ain't the
them
move.
strong drinks.
That was
Them
a Top Flight. Sorry, that's a Tallahassee club. I know you don't know about that, but our listeners from FAMU will know exactly what we're talking about.
strike.
I think it was a good scene, and I think it showed Rudy Ray Moore's personality. Like, it wasn't a Dolemite scene; it was a Rudy Ray Moore scene, and because he didn't try to sleep with her, he didn't say anything about her being her size, he didn't do anything but say, "Hey, you're funny, you should be funny," and took her with him.
I really do like that, and I think again that goes towards Eddie Murphy because plenty of people would have had a romantic underlining twist or inclusion in that
Mm.
that the movie kind of makes it to where you don't know if there's always something, but it's done respectfully
Yeah, it's
in a way
tasteful.
that no matter what, he still respects her, and she respects the fact that he saw something and rode with her, and I really really do appreciate that being shown in the movie.
Yes,
I think it
agree.
was an important contrast for his character, where it's like
Mhm.
Dolomite is this larger than life, insane, braggadocious everything, but they took the time to show Rudy Ray scenes to show that he's an
Mhm.
introspective, um, thoughtful, talented
Yeah.
individual.
And he talks about that. He was like, I'm playing a character. This isn't me. Look, I got a wig on. Like
Yeah,
that
that's
was
why that was my favorite scene.
my favorite scene is the filming of the sex scene. This sex scene is actually in like the third Dolomite, I think. I forgot what it's called. But it is an actual sex scene in one of the Dolomite movies. And it is that bad. Like, you literally see the pictures and stuff moving up and down. You see the candles moving on the wall. The ceiling caves in on top of them. Like, it is really that big. And to see all of them, the whole group, that they've finally come together. They're finally making a movie. And to see just how ridiculous it is. And everybody in the room knows it's ridiculous. And they're all laughing. I enjoyed that. Also, it's another Rudy Ray Moore moment where you see he's insecure. Like, Dolemite is not. Dolemite is the most secure, over the top, whatever. But Rudy is like, I'm not built like everybody else. How am I supposed to do this sex scene? And Lady Reed was like, make it funny. And so he made it funny. Everybody enjoyed it. He got through it. And it was absolutely over the top, absolutely ridiculous. And I thought that was my favorite scene.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
a good one. The roof caving in was like the icing on the cake.
It happened.
That
It
one
happened.
took me out.
Yeah. So if you watch the third, I believe, Dolemite, that scene is in there, and it's that ridiculous. All right. I'm ready to rate, unless y'all are not ready to rate and review. I am.
No.
One more thing I noticed in that film was that was probably the mildest I've ever seen Titus.
Yeah, he was fairly mild in
I don't
that.
know if the hair kind of kept the lid on him or whatever, but that was
Yeah.
the mildest I've
I didn't
ever
even
seen.
recognize him at first because I'm so used to the flamboyance that I was like,
Mhm.
oh snap, that's him. Like, halfway through the movie, like, oh, check him, he's actually acting like a normal person. Which kind of, every time I see him, I'm always concerned that he's dancing for the coins. Not like a stripper, like a I was
I
was
liked how
trying.
you were kind of suggesting that, but then just said not like a stripper.
I didn't
So
mean
just
like
so
that.
if people,
It was subtle.
I meant,
yeah,
I don't want to use the word shucking and jiving, but I can't think of nothing else right now. So I just want to say
he's extra. You could have said he's
he's
extra. That's all.
it's more than extra. It's there's not just extra, but extra with the implication of you're doing this for money and you're kind of degrading yourself. Also, people that look like you. You know what I'm saying? And so that's kind of why when I see him, I'm kind of like, But in this, I truly enjoyed him. He was able to act like a normal person.
I think again that counts towards Eddie and his way because a lot of the characters here they kind of have moments where they either phone it in or they go extra. Mike Epps, I think he did his role perfectly well. He wasn't too Mike Epps, and when they needed him to be a little Mike Eppish, he did it, but in a good way. For example, like when the car was about to be,
That was a great scene.
and he's like, "What you mean?" you know. So I think it was just really. I think people really kind of saw Eddie's vision and really wanted to respect what was being done, and it was shown in all aspects.
I think that they did a good job of balancing people who need to be dialed down when they need to be dialed down and people that need to be dialed up when they need to be dialed up. There was a good balance of not too much here and enough there. Let me think. Y'all reminded me of somebody else I liked in this movie, but I forgot. Oh, what's his name? Craig Robinson?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I haven't seen him in a while. And he was also dialed back because he can act a whole fool.
Yeah.
And so I like him a lot. He's one of my favorites. But I feel like I was like, oh, it was good to see him because I feel like I haven't seen him in a while. All right. I think I'm ready to rate this movie now. Oh, my issue with this movie, and I guess this is the way life is, but what happened to what's his name? Shoot, I forgot his name. The dude that was living in the alley who the style came from. We stole
all the stories from.
We stole his character, and we never saw him again. And that's life, right? But
that's real.
I'm surprised they showed that without having a resolution.
Maybe there just really wasn't one.
There is. In real life, ain't one.
But I feel like they would have covered it. Like that's the kind of thing that gets covered. Like after the movie comes out, you hear later that somebody's best friend cousin said, "Oh, well, he got all those stories from my homeless friend and never broke them down." So I'm surprised they showed him getting the stories from them and not giving back in any way.
It could also be something where that particular person wasn't actually a person, but just a combination of multiple stories or things that you just heard in the neighborhood. And instead of having Rudy May Moore just hearing these stories from everywhere, they just created this character that they got it from.
I think that's probably what happened. But if that's what happened, I think they should have done a little less personification and making it one person, and should have spread it out a little, maybe not giving him a name and not having that little bit of relationship they had, because that makes you think, okay, who this guy's important, who is he? Maybe it could have just been a random guy, like it had a random guy come into the store, talk his talk, then him go out to the alley and find more without focusing too much on the one person. Because when they do it that way, it makes me go, oh, you just bit this one guy off and never helped him again, left him on the street, and then kicked all the crackheads out the place he told you about where they was living. Because where are they supposed to sleep now? So that
if I produced it, I would have just made it barbershop stories that he heard in the barbershop and left it alone.
I would have left it there, but I wouldn't have focused on the individual. I would have said maybe he just went into the alley and talked to everybody and just hung out there rather than giving a guy a name. They put an amazing actor, the dude who's from Everything, who's like one of my favorite actors whose name I don't even know off the top of my head, who played the crackhead. I need to just look this up instead of calling him the crackhead and not knowing his name. What's his name, y'all?
I know you're about to Google the crackhead from Dolemite.
No, I'm about to, I'm going to get our intern on it and tell them to come in and pass me a slip of paper with the information on it, actually.
Oh, you're talking about Ron Cephas.
Yes! Thank you. See, he gonna act like he knew that. He didn't know that because I've been talking about it for 5 minutes and he was just staring at me. So,
I was just, I blanked out. Sorry.
Yeah, you weren't helping at all. Yeah, Ron Cephas Jones, who played Rico. Yeah, so I think Rico, I don't know. You have Ron Cephas Jones.
The last thing we probably saw him in was in Luke Cage.
Yes, because we don't watch This Is Us. Who's an amazing actor, super sympathetic. And I think that's a problem. Everything he plays just tears at your heartstrings. And so it's like, you want to make him a random guy off the street. I'm going to care about this random guy off the street because he's Ron Cephas Jones. You know? Okay. All right, so I think we're fizzling out. So let's go ahead and wrap it up and give it a grade. Peanut. I'm sorry. MP. What? We call him Peanut behind the scenes, y'all. What?
You call him Peanut behind the scenes.
Am I the only one?
The epidemic has spread.
The epidemic has spread.
That's what I do, y'all. All right.
Very clearly.
What is your grade?
I give it an A-.
Okay.
I really, really loved the movie overall. The only sort of low point was I did feel they shoved in some corny-ish background scenes, kind of like where two characters would sit down and say, "Yeah, my father left when I was 3," and those didn't really. I feel like they just had a quota they had to hit for that, and those scenes didn't work for me as much. But I loved just about every single thing else in the film.
Look at Mr. I grew up in a happy home and don't connect to things like that. All right.
Get back to the story.
Yeah.
I want to see some karate.
I want to see some karate. I'm gonna give it an A. I think it was done really well. It was much better than I think anyone really imagined it was going to be. I actually kind of wish this was maybe a little bit more of a mini series. I think the story was done so well. I could have seen more. So it gets a solid A from me. And it would have been nice maybe to see more of just the history of Dolemite and the other movies and such like that, other than just kind of this one. But it was entertaining the entire time. Really, Eddie Murphy was amazing at this, and it gives me faith in whatever other works he has in the future coming up.
I will say the reason they snuck in, they did, and if you've seen all the movies, you realize some of the scenes that you saw them filming were not all from the first Dolemite film. They did realize that there's not going to be a second Dolemite Is My Name, so they snuck in some of the best stories from all the Dolemite movies and added them to the Dolemite. They pretended they were filming the first movie when really it was all of them. So they tried, I would say, with the amount of time they had. I am going to give it an A-. I think it was intelligent. I think it was done well. I think it was charming. I think it was heartwarming. I ended it, like, when it ends, you feel good. Like, wow, this man really did it, right? But it is kind of boring. Like, I hate to say it, but it's slow and dry in the middle somewhere. Like, not the very beginning, not really the end, but somewhere in the middle, it's a little slow and dry. Like, at some point,
Can you stop saying slow and dry?
Slow
Just
and
please.
dry. And so at some point, that might be the title too now. At some point in the middle, I debated not finishing the movie because it got that dry. Like, if it's dry, I won't finish.
Cherry.
I mean, it's hard to.
Sure.
What? I said the movie.
All right.
We talk about the movie. So,
Yeah.
So yeah,
This is why
I
we
give it
can't
an A
have nice
minus.
things.
Oh man, the censors are gonna get us. All right, A minus. NJL's not for the kids. All right, so A minus, and that was why, because it does get a little dry. All right, so let's wrap it up. Make sure you're following our Twitch and our YouTube, and subscribe to our YouTube, because we are reviving the NJL Twitch. We are currently on there playing D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, for y'all that don't know. But there will be some other games shortly being added to the list. So if you're not on our Twitch, make sure you're following us on there. And also, like I said, if y'all really looking for a way to donate to NJL, like people have sometimes said, how do we support y'all financially? Twitch is really the best way to do it currently, where you can do subscriptions, you can do some donations, you can do all sorts of things. And everything we do on Twitch, we export to YouTube. So, including the podcast. So, if you have a YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to us there, because you can watch the podcast. Oh, there's really nothing to watch, but you can listen to the podcast, and you can watch us play video games. You can watch us play D&D. You can watch us do all sorts of amazing things. Okay, make sure you're subscribed to us, like I said, on iTunes, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Play, Pocket Cast, Podbean. Wherever you're listening to this, essentially, make sure you are subscribed. Follow us on Twitter at Black Nerd Cast, Black Nerd Cast as in podcast. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Negro Justice League. Check out NegroJusticeLeague.com. Follow us on twitch.tv/BlackNerdCast. And rate and review us everywhere. But in particular, make sure you're doing it on iTunes, and make sure you're doing it on Facebook. Next episode, we are going to be talking about Harriet. That's the Harriet Tubman movie, which has some really mixed reviews, mostly not too great. So we'll be talking about that and giving you all sorts of opinions. And also Dr. Sleep, which is a Stephen King Shining-esque, but it's got a little black girl style movie. So we'll be watching those two, and we will be coming back to you with some reviews for you. I'm Cherry, and this was the Negro Justice League.